one thing I realized that a lot of founders do is we get so obsessed over the big things and we don't know how to scale down and actually tap into our community. So I decided to do that and to just like focus on what I can do with the resources that I had and not to just like focus on these large scale events. So I think throughout every single year there's been a pivot. So like the first year we were really gearing towards moving into production and, you know, like creating our own fashion week, but I felt that was very premature.
Hello everyone, hope you're doing well, hope you're looking after yourselves. Welcome to another episode of The Student Guide. We are, if I am correct, this is episode 9, so we are slowly approaching the end of season 8, which is wild to think. We're coming up to 80 episodes. We have another amazing guest speaker here today to tell you another amazing story. As you all know, I don't like doing introductions because I think we should hear from these amazing individuals themselves. So instead, I'm going to hand over to today's guest speaker. Could we please know a bit more about you and what you do?
Amazing. Hey guys, it's your girl Nay. My name is Naomi. I work as a cultural curator and I also work within fashion, doing PR, creative consultancy, and I'm building a platform called Alt World, which empowers POC fashion creatives.
That's incredible. And before we go into learning more about you two, the questions I've got, we come first to our first segment of the episode, 44 Questions, brought by Amanda from 44 Words, where she reviews the bios of our speakers and comes up with a creative question so we can all learn a bit more about them. So, Nay, the question is, if you were to write an essay on the current state of creativity, what would the first line be?
I would say the creative industry or creativity?
Creativity.
Okay. Creativity is not creativitying.
Okay, do you want to expand on that?
Yeah, I feel like, and this is coming from someone who admires hyper-creatives and isn't the most artistic, but I have a creative mind. I feel like, especially within my ecosystem, which is more the fashion industry, I feel like there's a lack of creativity and there's more focus on tags and brands, which is fine in itself, but I feel like there isn't enough emphasis on, you know, creatives and deep creativity.
No, I really get that. Yeah, that's really interesting. Well, you don't have to write the full essay, but if you ever do, I'm looking forward to hearing the rest. But we're going to get started with the first official question we've got for you. And this is linked to your early influences and identity. So, you know, in your bio, you've spoken about your mother's reselling business and your childhood upbringing of wandering through Harrods and how that shaped your relationship with fashion. So the question is, how did those early experiences influence your creative identity and mission?
Yeah, no, thank you for bringing that up. I love that question. So yeah, I think seeing my mum being an entrepreneur, but within her special interest, which at that time was clothes, made me realize that like you can literally live your best life and do whatever you want as long as you have a plan. And my mum was, she started her business after being stuck in a very dry 9-to-5. And even though like within our culture, I'm Nigerian, you know, you're supposed to be a lawyer, a doctor, and all these prestigious roles. I could see her crumbling, and her love was just for clothes and for vintage pieces. And I just saw the love and passion that she would have when she would like go to certain outlets and then curate like a barrel to send back to Nigeria for the shop, in comparison to when she was doing her 9-to-5. And I have that. I have that too, where it's like, if I'm not doing something that I enjoy, I genuinely feel brain dead and I don't feel like I can actually succeed or be successful. So I think she was definitely an inspiration for me too. And I feel like during that time as well, my mum was very detailed in regards to like, her thing was bags, right? Like, she's a bag lady. Like, she loves archive vintage pieces, designer bags and stuff like that. And just like watching her be an entrepreneur it was so powerful for me. I didn't have like a strong male presence and I don't really, there's a lot more women. I come from a matriarchal home. So like, it was very powerful and empowering to me to know that like, wow, she's a boss and a go-getter. I can be that too. And then in regards to Harrods and stuff, so I'll explain the story because it's probably just like, what was that? So again, growing up, things were quite difficult, as you can already gather. My mum had 2 jobs, so she had to make it work for us. And even though there was times where children were going on holiday and they had money to go, my mum would just take us to Harrods. I was like, this is your holiday. go and wander and look at stuff that you can't afford, but just feel the clothes. And I remember, like, at that time, we lived in an area that wasn't the best, but then that was a level of escapism for me, just going down to Knightsbridge, feeling the clothes, and I always used to wonder around the different departments and the different designers and look at the way they style the mannequins. Was like, this is rubbish, like you should actually put this and that. So I feel like my love for clothes and for putting things together and piecing for style rather than fashion really came from just wandering around in Harrods. So yeah, I've always just loved fashion. That's been a special interest of mine. So yeah,
that's really nice, and I think it's clear to see like the influence, like how that's influenced even like your style now. Like people can see, well, they can't see your bag, but your bag literally matches your outfit. You styled this all out, and I think it's really shown how, like you said, those early experiences really impact like where you, like, who you become afterwards. But also, I think, like you said, like as a Nigerian, there is definitely the perception of you need to go down like the doctoral route, especially if you are like going into like entrepreneurship. That's seen as like unclear grounds. But I agree with you that it was really nice. Like even like I know with my parents, both of them run businesses like outside of work, and that's been a real inspiring thing for myself and also my siblings, because it's like, oh, cool, like, if our parents can do it, we can do it too. Exactly,
yeah. I think it's something, and I feel like I wish there were more examples of that, of successful entrepreneurs as well. And even if the venture wasn't successful, just that risk-taking, you know, because entrepreneurship, it's a big, it's character building for sure. But just seeing someone that was able to take risks, and I saw a lot of failures. There was times where, you know, things didn't go right, but then there was loads of wins too. I think it inspired me to just have this go-getter, fierce mindset. And I think, again, one thing I was inspired by my mum with is that my mum is actually a pharmacist by trade. But yeah, her special interest was fashion at that time. Now it's changed, she's into wellness, but it was fashion. And like, she didn't study, she didn't go to school to learn about styling or buying and stuff, but she used to do international trade. Again, buying certain pieces and selling them, sending them back home. And I feel like that was so inspirational for me, because I realized you don't have to have everything together. You don't have to always be the most knowledgeable person at first, but you can learn on the job. And if it's something you're passionate about, you will get it and you will go clear. Hard work sometimes beats talent.
100%.
And yeah, that was, I think, having that and seeing that on a day-to-day was something that I found very inspiring. Yeah.
That's really cool. But it's interesting, because we ended the last question talking about your mother and her business. But the next question is all about your own business.
Okay.
So, as the founder of Alt World, you amplify see, look, acronyms and me, I tell you, I'm not the...
You can say POC, honestly.
PO, thank you.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, POC...
Or BIPOC.
Or BIPOC. The thing is, you know what, I was gonna say the whole acronym, and I was like, should I...
Black, indigenous, people of colour.
And I was just like, no.
Save it.
But you amplify BIPOC and POC-led brands, which is one, really incredible, because we all know it's interesting. I guess one, as being a black founder, it's interesting to see how the world has changed post 2020, in the sense that like there was a lot of things of like, oh yeah, we need to support black-owned businesses, we need programs that support them, funding that supports them, and then like 5 years later, there's nothing there. And it's almost as if people feel like we've solved the problem that is racism. But the work you're doing is incredible, and you're supporting all of these brands.
Thank you.
So my question to you is, what gaps did you see in the industry that drove you to create this platform, and how has it grown so far?
Yeah, You ask such good questions. This
you.
is probably this is one of my favorite things I've been on so far. Yeah, so, okay, I had a brand, I had an eyewear brand, and I remember struggling so much because I kept being told to look and aspire to brands that don't relate to me. So again, like the luxury brands, like the Gucci's and the Pradas, and for me, that's like that was a final goal at that time. However, like, again, when I had I started G in 2021. It was very short-lived, but culture was the currency for me. Like, my biggest supporters were people within the creative industry, just like Black creatives, alt creatives, people who didn't just buy into the product but bought into me as well. And I found that there wasn't really like a support system or a space that spotlighted a lot of independent brands. I felt like, and that's what also led me to PR, because I felt like I needed more PR at that time. And when I would try and get PR, I remember like having certain companies reaching out on DMs, huge companies, for me to pay them to spotlight me. And for me, I was like, I'm just about spending money on packaging. I don't have time to now pay for PR. So Altworld was kind of birthed from, well, not Altworld, not the whole thing, but I saw a gap, and the gap was spotlighting independent Black-owned brands globally as well. So in London has its token brands that I love and that I respect. I'm not one of those creators that pop down anyone. I respect every single person who has built a cool career, but I feel like London has its favorites and they tend to champion those. However, you will find a girl in Ghana who is incredible at crochet and no one's spotlighting her. Or you will find like a really cool bespoke beaded bag brand from a babe from Belgium that has like 100 and something followers. And as someone that has a very good eye, if I would like to say so myself, or like I've got good taste, I like to literally look at these brands and put them on. I don't care how much followers you have, it's important. Another reason as well is I used to do styling, and one thing I find is that a lot of stylists go to the same PRs and all their talents are all wearing the same things. But if you're able to tap into new brands, and again, we're kind of becoming more of like a discovery platform as well, because of the spotlighting of different brands. You can literally go on Altworld and find a new designer and then, dress up your talent in something really cool. And you're supporting, a babe who's probably trying to make it out of the hood, So that was the niche. I think that was the gap. I think the gap was that there wasn't a lot of support to independent BIPOC designers, and I want to create, a platform to do so.
Well, I think that's really cool. And then, the second part is, actually, before I get to the second part, I think that's really cool because also I agree that, like, there is this huge misconception of you need a massive audience to be really great.
Yeah, no.
Like, funnily enough, she's behind the camera, so she'll smile when I say this, but one of my sisters basically says, like, it's interesting because like we said, there may be people that can create, like, the most amazing pieces of clothing, but just because they don't have, like, a social media following or big platforms, you may never hear of this person.
Yeah.
And platforms like yours are helping to address that.
Yeah, thank you. Brick by brick, it's not, like, always easy as well, but again, that's the aim.
No, it's really cool. And I guess the second part is, how has it grown so far? So I guess from when you first launched to now, how has that journey been?
It's been interesting. I think good things take time because, funny enough, my story isn't like, wow, within 2 years I did all these incredible. No, it's actually been a journey. So initially when we started off, it was very much focused on brands. We had like a runway event which went really, really sick. At that time I was working with a different team as well, and it was so incredible, the stuff we were able to do, spotlighting brands in Ghana. But then funny enough, one thing I realized that a lot of founders do is we get so obsessed over the big things and we don't know how to scale down and actually tap into our community. So I decided to do that and to just like focus on what I can do with the resources that I had and not to just like focus on these large scale events. So I think throughout every single year there's been a pivot. So like the first year we were really gearing towards moving into production and, you know, like creating our own fashion week, but I felt that was very premature. So we had to scale it all the way down to just like research and again, becoming more of a discovery platform, as well as also creating like D&I initiatives for like brands to tap in to BIPOC creatives. So again, main focus was designers, then we started speaking to stylists, then we started speaking to PRs, fabric technologists, and just like different Black and, you know, POC tastemakers within fashion. So yeah, I feel like the first 5 years, whenever you're launching something, you need to allow, don't be too rigid, allow yourself to pivot, allow yourself to grow with the brand and with the business too. Because then you can like think of new creative ideas to really like, you know, work on your mission and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's so true because even like for us, like we started off with this podcast. It was like the first thing we were doing, and then within that first year was good. You know, we were doing different episodes. It was coming along, and then we then started doing all this additional content because we would have conversation with people and it'd be like, oh, this is really cool, but like, we don't feel like to do another episode focused on this would make sense. So we were just like, let's create all these additional content, and we were doing all of this. And then we got to a stage where we were just like, all this additional stuff is literally takes the same amount of time, same amount of effort, same amount of love as this podcast. We were just like, actually, are we really saying that we've got one main podcast and loads of additional podcasts, then when actually we've actually got like loads of podcasts under us and we're now a podcast network. And then now, like within the last year, I said we're now a creative hub, we're a creative platform for people. And now that's changed because basically after doing some research and really thinking about it, I've been like, we actually basically are essentially a social enterprise. But like you said, allowing yourself to pivot and like not limiting yourself to just have like one thing or like your business to stay in one area is so key.
I love that, and I feel so seen by you saying that. And I feel like also for anyone who is a founder, stop allowing people to put you in boxes and stop allowing people to pressure you into also describing yourself. I find that all the time. People always like, what do you do? So what is Alt World? You see what Alt World is. Alt World, as long as your core mission is consistent, you can grow, like you can change, you can pivot. Think of like huge brands like Fenty. Like Fenty started off, she ran on clothes and then lingerie and then beauty. No one's questioning her to say, oh, what's this all about? They know that the baseline is that she's big on inclusivity and obviously she's a talent who has now pivoted into, you know, entrepreneurship. So I think there's so much pressure on people to have it all figured out, and it's like, no, don't allow anyone to pressure you. Just as long as you know your vision and you know the main principle. Again, with you, the main principle from what I know and what I've observed is like storytelling, exploring stories, bridging the gaps between communities. So however you do that, it doesn't matter as long as the main value is there and you keep growing and you're not going backwards. Then you can pivot 10,000 times. I think sometimes a lot of people follow this really rigid approach, and for me, as someone who's neurodivergent, neurospicy, that doesn't work for me. So I can say this is what Alt World is, and then in 2 years it changes. But regardless, y'all gonna benefit from it, so yeah.
Oh, good. We're now gonna go on to our new segment for this season, which is Treasure Talks, which is an item or belonging of significance to our speakers. So now, what is your item? Could you tell us what it is, but also, what is it significant to you?
Okay, so it's this Topaz bracelet that I got from Paris. And why it's important to me is because it makes me feel calm. With what I do, it's very dynamic. You're meeting a lot of people. And yes, I do have a big personality, but your girl gets a bit anxious sometimes. And I feel like there's sometimes you just need something to ground you to feel regulated. And basically it's heavy. But the pressure, it has like, it sounds very dramatic, but it actually makes you feel quite zen. So yeah, I always wear this. It's like it has the same effect a weighted blanket would have on you, but just on your arm. So something dynamic, something you can wear on your day to day. So yeah, I always like to feel grounded and to reset. with what I do, I speak to so many people, and like sometimes I'm overstimulated. So yeah, this doesn't leave me.
Nice. That's really nice. And I think, like you said, like sometimes, like people do forget that, like, especially as a founder, like, yes, you will have to go out there and talk to people and all that stuff. But like you said, sometimes you will have times when you're like, this is getting overwhelming, this is a lot. And you're just like you said, you need something to ground you, like to keep you in the moment, or even just to like give you like a 5-minute breather to just relax. So that's really cool.
Thank you.
We're gonna go on, before we get into the next question, we're gonna start with our mic check, which is our fact or figure that's relevant to the topic we're talking about.
Wow.
And this one is, according to the UK Fashion and Textile Association, just 7% of senior leadership roles in the UK fashion are held by people from ethnic minority backgrounds. And this really highlights the importance of diversity, DEI as a whole, but also representation and advocacy in fashion, more so now than ever. So you've spoken on the elitist and exclusionary undercurrent, in fashion. My question to you is, what are some of the barriers you face personally, and how do you help other creatives navigate through those pressures?
Gatekeeping. And I'm gonna speak on quite a sensitive topic. I think it's so sad that like, because there isn't a lot of POC leaders within the fashion industry, sometimes those are the ones that are the biggest gatekeepers. And I don't even take it personal. It's more from a place of like, you had to work so hard to get here, so now you kind of want to just hog everything to yourself. I like to simplify and dumb down fashion and the fashion industry. I feel like it is this, it's a space that it's so unnecessarily elitist. At the end of the day, what are the 4 major factors every human needs? Food, sustenance, 3, and clothes. Clothes, it's fashion. We're not talking about style. Style's different. That's more from within, and it's about fashion. And I just feel like if you have a love for clothes and a love for, like also culture as well, because culture really, a lot of people just think fashion is just trends and stuff, but there's a lot of like culture and even like sociology that goes into, and history within fashion. But I digress. But a major thing is gatekeeping. I feel like everyone is so hush-hush about everything, and everyone uses all these big fashion terms, and now that I've kind of like cracked certain things, I'm like, you guys are just jarring, because this is so easy. And in fact, we need more representation in the industry. There's no point hiding. And I think how I'm able to combat is with Fashion Insights, which is a series that I have, and it's where we delve into like conversations with different fashion tastemakers in order for them to speak about their journey, because there's so many people that feel like they have to have it all together in order to enter into the fashion world or to become a stylist, to become a PR, when really, like, it's actually kind of easy. And it's always good it's what I needed. I remember wanting to see someone that looks like me, who came from the same space as I came from, who wasn't, a Nepo baby. There's no problem with Nepo babies, by the way. I love them, love y'all. But I'm just saying, like, who just had a very degular life, like, who was able to build brick by brick, no shortcuts. And I needed to see a lot more female representation as well. So yeah, I think my way of combating that is with Fashion Insights. And also I would like to say that I've kind of built a name for being someone that just ask. If you ask, you can get. Obviously, don't use me now. Don't be crazy. But I just feel like there's too much gatekeeping, and it's like, if the greater good is take away egos, is to help and to build a more inclusive fashion industry, then I feel like there should be a lot more knowledge exchange.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said there, that like I've had an interesting conversation, not just about like fashion, but also about just like essentially like business as a whole. And we were talking about that it does sometimes, or like I've spoken with different people, and it does sometimes feel that like, especially for certain founders who've maybe been in the business game for a lot longer, or they've gotten traction a lot quicker, they're just like, oh, like, we're not at the same stage. So like, you need to work hard. You need to like, you're not putting in this time and energy.
That is.
And yeah, no, honestly, and I agree. And we were talking about it because we were just like, it's. I guess to me, I'll speak from my perspective. For me, it's mind-boggling that like you can, I don't know, have the hardest experience to grow your business. You get like, say you get 6 figures. You're bringing all this like great things in, and then to just, I don't know, almost like forget how hard it was for you, and then to be like, oh yeah, like this person needs help. Don't worry about it. Like they need to work twice as hard as I did to even like for me to give them like the time of day for like a simple conversation. I've just never really understood like that mentality.
Neither have I, and I love this conversation so much because I've gotten in so much trouble for it. What do we do this for? For me, I've made so many mistakes, and I want to build Art World to a place where people can just like view our content, enjoy our experiences, and things that took me 5 years to do, they can do in 2 years. That's what we do it for. Like, I feel like, yeah, there's this struggle mentality that a lot of people have. And unfortunately, I think it's just ego. It's just when you're building within the creative industry from a place of ego, you're never really, you don't really care about empowerment. You just want to hog everything to yourself. But I feel like, again, I'm going to big up a few people as well. People like myself, Jendaya, the Fashion Blueprint, and some other cool other collectives as well. We're all focused on trying to help and trying to actually change the trajectory as well within the fashion industry, so that tastemakers don't have to go through a lot of the microaggressions and a lot of the struggles we had to go through. This whole obsession with it takes you 5 to 10 years to be in a room, I think it's just it shouldn't take that long, number one. Also, a lot of people's insecurities block them from being in certain rooms, and I feel like our generation is a lot more audacious. So sometimes people from the generation above have an issue with that. But I think instead of there being that gap between Gen Zs and millennials or etc., I think it's important for us to have an interchange. We can benefit from the wisdom of people who have done what we've done, and they can benefit from the audacity of us, and even employ some Gen Zs too, so that your business can last long and doesn't just last for a few years.
No, it's true.
But yeah, I have such a thing with that, and I just don't want to ever be that OG that is like trying to humble young creatives and telling them that no, if someone comes to me with an idea, I want them to know they can do it if they have the right systems in place, not because it took me a long time to do it, if that makes sense.
No, 100%.
I don't subscribe to that.
No, definitely. And like one story, like one video I saw about this, it kind of sums this up perfectly, is it was, I think they call it Shark Tank in Canada, but it was basically like their version of Dragon's Den.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
And there was this guy, so one of the investors was like, oh, cool, I'll give you the money, and just wanted to know a bit more about him. And he was like, yeah, I don't do my business full time. I actually, like, it's not paying me enough, so I'm working another job. And then the guy was like, yeah, I'm so sorry, I can't, like, I'm out. He's like, I can't give you the money because, when I was like your age doing a business, I was committed, like I knew my business was gonna grow, and I committed like all my time and energies and all this stuff. And then what I really liked was, shout out to, if you watch Marvel, you'll know him from Marvel, but he was also in the Barbie movie as well, Simu Lee. He was there, and like he was just like, I'm so sorry, but I actually really don't agree with that at all. Like this whole mentality, he was like, look, I get that, like that might have been the case for you, but he was just like, you need to understand, like 1, times have changed, 2, things are not the same as like, it's not as easy to get into markets as it was before. And he was like, you also need to understand that like, just because you were able to do that, like you don't have other responsibilities. Which kind of links me to my second story, which is, I haven't listened to his podcast, but I've seen his videos before, and I recommend it to anyone who wants, like, he's very much a motivational speaker. Gary, do you know Gary Vee?
No, I don't.
So he is this, I actually don't really know what he does, other than, like, he does a lot of motivational stuff. And he talks a lot about, like, young people. So he was like there's two videos of his that I really love. One was, there was this person that was talking, like he met them on the road, and she asked him a question, and she was just like, oh yeah, like I want to do something, you know, when I do something I'll matter, and like I'll be famous and all of this, I'll be well known, all of this. And he was like, no, like you don't need to wait for that. He was like, you matter now. Like you can do whatever you want now and you'll still matter. And like you just saw the shift in the person's like when he was just like, I need you to like pause and think about that. And you saw the shift and like how inspiring that was to hear. But then he also talks a lot about like Gen Z, and he's just and he's just like with Gen Z like people, he's just like, why would, like, he was like, now is the time when you do take bigger risks. Because he said, look, most people who are Gen Z, you're not married, you're most likely living at home or could have the potential, if things didn't work out, you could move back home. He was like, you don't typically have children, and you're probably having, this is like the most free time you have. So you said you're either at university, maybe you're still at college, maybe you are working, but maybe you're working on like 0-hour contracts or whatever. But he was like, this is the time when like you hit the road hard and you trial as much as you can. Because he said you don't want it to be, because he was just like, I don't subscribe to this whole idea of like, wait until you're like settled in your career and then you can put like, go on business stuff. Because he was just like, you'll have so many responsibilities and like your life will be different. And also the market changes like my dad always brings this up. He was just like, no one knew COVID was coming, but who made Microsoft, with Teams, Zoom, like all of these companies had all these, like they didn't know COVID was coming, but as soon as like the pandemic hit, Teams now is basically boomed and replaced Skype. Zoom is still really used worldwide. Like if schools aren't paying for it, workplaces are. But these companies, if the person who created Zoom was just like, you know what? I don't really, you know, remote working isn't really as big as it could be. Like honestly, I'm gonna wait.
Everything that you've just dropped,
they would have missed out on so much.
And I want to like, if you don't mind, like dissect it bit by bit. So going back to the whole, okay, we touched on the 5 years, but going back to the, you mentioned something in regards to ADHD. Gatekeeping. Have to be in a room for 5 years.
Gatekeeping.
But then, your job.
Yes.
But then, now, this is advice that has plagued me. Do not quit your job. Don't do it. Stop, don't do it. Like, there is this, I'm going to look at you in the camera and speak so real, because this is like my 5-year anniversary of being like, working within fashion. Do not quit your job, or let me tell you something. A lot of people within the fashion industry, they're cozy. They have a dynamic where they can stay at home and not pay bills. However, like one thing that, again, with Old World is that like I cater to girls or boys who live real lives, who, if you don't bring rent home, your mum is giving you a headache. Like you have to work. And a lot of people within the fashion industry come from a place of privilege. And because they come from a place of privilege, even if you're not privileged, let's say you don't have money, you have a family dynamic where your mum believes in you or something, and your mum is like, yeah, I believe in you, John, go and do whatever you want, even if it takes 10 years. Some of us, we don't have that. Some of us don't have that. Some of us, we have to hustle. So there's this dark narrative that a lot of people say, tap into, which is about quit your job. No, there are systems in place where you can actually build on your dreams. Obviously, that means that you're going to work very hard, and that's one thing I'm always an advocate for. We do have this, some of us Gen Zers have this delusional mindset that you don't have to work hard and you can work ridiculously soft. I don't subscribe. I'm known to not subscribe to that. I don't. And I'm a big advocate for well-being and stuff like that, but you must work hard to get what you want. It's as simple as that. All work's extremely smart. Do you know what I mean? And in fact, tapping into working smart, there are systems in place where you can have a 9-to-5 and still build your brand and your business, because I don't believe you should self-sabotage for your dreams. That's not, you don't have to. That's that dark mindset that a lot of people have. And again, tapping back into the well-being side of things, I feel like there needs to be a lot more focus on the well-being of an entrepreneur and a founder, because a lot of unsuccessful business like founders going from zero to nothing, quitting their job, going all or nothing, and then there's no systems in place or plans for contingency. There's no contingency plan. And there's this toxic narrative that having a contingency plan, having a plan B means you failed, or means that, that means you don't love it enough. No, it doesn't mean that. It means that you're actually working smarter and you're trying to create systems to ensure that your system, your company grows at a sustainable pace. And yeah, a lot of people that I've spoken to, and a lot of people lie. A lot of people be doing warehouse jobs and they won't talk about it, they won't open their mouth to say it. They'll say, I don't work a job. They're doing warehouse, which is amazing. But just say the truth or say nothing. Because a lot of young people are so impressionable and they see the glitz and glam of what we do. I only started freelancing this year. I worked consistently and everyone knows that. I did not hide from that. I would do crazy hours and stuff like that, but I've always worked, and I have no shame in that, because at the end of the day, I had to provide for myself. I had a dynamic where I had to provide for myself. I have siblings I have to provide for as well. And this is where we have these toxic narratives of a young girl thinking, oh really? Or a young boy thinking, really, I have to quit my job? Okay, I don't think this is for me. When they could be the next innovator within the creative industry. But because there's now all this chat about you have to quit your job, no, you don't. You just have to be someone that uses your job as a stepping stone for your dreams. That's the only thing. There has to be a mindset shift. Otherwise, you're always going to have that duality. And if you're obviously money driven, then having a job might delay you in a sense where you're always just chasing stability and constant cash. But if you do want to work, and I actually advise working whilst building a business, you need to have a job that allows you to either, so this is what I used to do, yeah? I used to change, during that 5 years, I had so many jobs, but because I didn't have the qualifications within fashion or just within leadership to know I didn't know what to do. I got jobs that allowed me to learn certain things. So again, going back to that awful job I had, I wanted to know more about innovation, and because I love change management. So working as a product innovation manager, it showed me certain elements of that. Working in the NHS as an assistant service manager helped me learn how to manage people. I use that now in what I do. Or working as an events manager at UCL, the worst job ever. When I make it, I'm gonna call you lot out, because y'all are not neurodivergent friendly, and I want this is on YouTube. Do not cut that out. Don't cut that out. Unless it causes you trouble, don't cut that out. Yeah, only if it causes you trouble you can cut it out, but otherwise don't cut it out. But literally, I remember I got that job and it was so intense, but it taught me how to run an event, how to produce an event, how to get partnerships and sponsorships. Because again, people within the fashion industry were not giving me, they were closing doors for me. So I was like, I'm going to learn from another industry and I'm going to use all the skills, the transferable skills into what I'm doing now. So that's the way you need to, there needs to be a strategy. You have to be ridiculously strategic if you're going to work so that it benefits you. When the final aim is entrepreneurship, you have to be selfish. Everything you do has to be geared towards that, not the other way. Otherwise, you're going to get lost. And I think that's why people say, oh, don't have a job because you can get distracted. But really, the job should serve you. Yeah.
The job should serve you. And I think 100%. No, definitely. And I think one final thing to say about what you just said there is I think the misconception about jobs, focusing on your business full time, is also because I guess it's the age-old thing of saying I don't remember how this came up, but I saw someone post on LinkedIn about this whole idea about everyone wants to be on the Forbes 30 under 30 or Forbes 40 under 40. And I was like, it would be nice, it'd be great. And that was interesting. The person posted an article and it was just so every Forbes 30 under 30 who basically from being on the list, stuff's come out about them. And it was embezzlement, fraud, their businesses are apparently basically on borderline sketchy / illegal. And literally people are just but these are the people that you're celebrating, you're being these are Forbes 30 under 30 that have done incredible stuff and all of this stuff. But it's like we said, people will see that and then they'll be oh my days, this person's been doing really great. Even, like you said, big companies. It was on an accelerator program I was on, they were talking about like, oh, when it comes to like essentially financial readiness and like for investment, all of this. And the person was just like, oh, did you know that like, I think, was it Netflix? He was just like, Netflix only recently became a profitable company. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was just like, yeah, you like, and everyone was just like, what are you talking about? Like Netflix, they make loads of films, they have big stars. Yes, their subscription increases every year, but they're bringing in all these like big, like they're bringing in big names to produce stuff for them. And they're just like, yeah, no, Netflix has only recently become a profitable company.
Wow.
For the most part, it's just been surviving on like investments and some of these projects doing really well, but also through like the subscription model changing and stuff like that. And I think to me, it showed me that, like you said, like even the big companies that you're aiming to be these people. Another example is WeWorks. So like WeWorks, there were issues, and it was like there was beliefs that like some of them did actually close because there were issues regarding their finances and stuff like that. So like all of this stuff comes about because like you said, like you're not seeing. You see the pretty stuff, the things that they're like, everyone's like, oh yeah, this is what it is, but no one's telling you like, oh yeah, Netflix isn't a profitable company.
Yeah, and like, thank you, and you know what, like, the more honest we are, the better, and I feel like that's something I really want to start championing. Don't get it twisted, there's a certain level of fake it till you make it that I do subscribe to, 100%. Because if you get too stuck in your situation, or if Netflix, for instance, saw all the investment issues they had and didn't keep pushing, they would never become a profitable business. They kept going, you know, it's only just come out now. I remember seeing, I cannot remember whether it was Clint or someone that they offered him a 30 under 30 and he revoked it, or he said he didn't want to do it. And I respected that so highly. I don't subscribe to like flashing wealth. I feel like there's always this might bite me, but I've always had this. When I mean flashing wealth, I feel like, let me be careful what I say, because I'm pro-wealth, do you get me? I'm Nigerian. But I mean, like, I'm not gonna say I don't like money. I want money, I want a lot of it too. I want bare bread, like, but I just feel like all the 30 under 30 and all of that, like, because I work in PR, I know what's cap. That's cap. PR's like, all of it's cap. Because it's like, let me. It's cap, but I respect. I think the aim of Forbes really, I guess, is there to maybe empower people, to motivate people, to be like, yeah, there's different entrepreneurs that look like you that have done it. Maybe you should go and do it. Hopefully, that's the case. I'm starting to find that sometimes it can be a little bit just overly elitist for me, but hey.
No, I think it's fair.
I respect everyone that's been on Forbes, so I respect it. But I'm like, I also really respect the people that turn it down. Because those people, in my opinion, they always stay rich. I don't know what that link is, what synergy it is, but every single person I know that's turned down Forbes is super rich. And then people that go on it, there becomes a K-leg and I don't know what that's all about, but again, I do feel like these things are like blessings, and sometimes when you flaunt it too much, it can bite you in the butt.
No, of course. No, definitely.
Yeah. You might have to edit some of that out. That last bit, so I'm going to get myself in a lot of trouble. That last pause here.
We come to the last question before I hand over to you for passing the mic, where you get to ask me a question.
Oh, I was having so much fun.
No, honestly, it's been an incredible conversation. I've really enjoyed it. But I think this is a nice way to end. So this is looking at your strategic approach and your impact. So you combine business strategy, cultural insights, and community building all together. My question to you is, how do you balance commercial goals with the purpose of inclusion and equity in your work?
Incredible question. And I think that's something I've only gotten the hang of now. I think coming out of survival mode will allow you to think and focus on your values as a founder. When you're in survival mode, you tend to veer towards more commercial things. And I found that I was getting to a point where I was just doing a lot of stuff, right? But it wasn't really fully aligned with alt. So there's two ways you can go, right? Because again, if you're someone that has a hustler mentality and you're very business savvy, you can, if you have a purpose-led company, what's the question? My personal advice or to give advice? What was the question?
How do you balance commercial goals with the purpose of inclusion and equity in your work?
Okay, so every single deal I have, there has to be an element of D&I. Even if I'm working with a company that's extremely whitewashed, injecting culture there, your values is what is going to take you far. People really feel like tampering to a brand is what gets you these partnerships and deals, but no. Brands value startups and emerging platforms that are so heavy on their values. So I know with me, no matter what I do, no matter how commercial it is, there has to be an element of inclusivity. So Fashion Week is the height of fakeness in fashion, within fashion. There's nothing faker than Fashion Week. Yeah, there is nothing more fake, commercial, elitist than Fashion Week. I will tell you that. Nothing. Yeah. But for me, my USP has always been injecting African talent into spaces that they've been underrepresented. I remember going Fashion Week before I started doing placement strategy and seeing Asian talent, not even enough Asian talent to be honest, just like white European talent, tastemakers, influencers that I don't even relate to, who are at all these shows. And however, I'm seeing loads of like African talent who they spend their hard-earned label money to buy all these brands. They should be at the show because they're actually consumers. Yeah. Like, and again, that was, for me, that is what made me feel positive about doing Fashion Week. Or again, like ensuring that stylists who are underrepresented are involved, or dressing the talent, for instance, in some independent designers for Fashion Week. I always like to inject my values into everything I do. And I think that's the only way you can keep grounded, because there is always going to be a commercial element. Like, gotta eat, gotta make money, okay? But as long as it aligns with your values and your core belief system of the purpose, then yeah, that's my way of balancing it. And anytime I get anything that is, let's say, like super, super commercial, sometimes I don't put it under Alt World because it just doesn't align. I put it under another like commercial arm. And I think that's also something that a lot of founders should like tap into, because sometimes, yeah, we want to focus on our purpose as well, but you may get other opportunities that might be lucrative, which can help you power your purpose, but you don't always have to broadcast it. Like, as long as you, I'm not saying anything completely left field, but like, yeah, as long as you maybe keep it separate, that's also a way of balancing it too.
Yeah, well, that's really good. Yeah, I have nothing else to say other than we're heading over to passing the mic. So this is your opportunity to ask me any question or questions that you'd like to ask.
Okay, can I be the first one to make a statement?
You can be the first one to make a statement.
This is so incredible. You ask such good questions. I'm really inspired. Like, incredible. Okay, question. How many questions can I ask?
You can ask as many as you want.
Okay. How have you found navigating this space? I would say like the podcaster space as an independent Black man, because I feel like there is quite a bit of representation, but I feel like there's still more to be had, especially within the community space. I feel like there's a lot of women dominating it,
100%.
But how have you found it?
I think there's different aspects that I would say I've found. So like, for one thing that I like about being independent and like not being sponsored by anyone is I have freedom over the topics that I talk about. I have freedom over the guests. I have freedom over like the length of the episodes. So I'm not like limited to like anyone else's agenda but my own, which I like. Obviously that comes with the fact that like I don't have like the backing of, let's say, like Spotify. So I don't have, like, I record where I can and I use the equipment that I've got. Whereas like others who maybe have been in the game longer, or they've gotten sponsorship straight away, they're able to get like, I don't know, like use Spotify's like head office, for example, for stuff like that. I would say it's interesting that you like spoke about it from like, I guess like also like when it comes to like being a Black man, because I had a conversation with someone about this and they're kind of into podcasts, and they were saying that it's interesting about my podcast because they said when it comes to like, when you hear a lot about, especially like black men in podcasting, it's typically like your, like, yeah, like it's not good. It's not really supporting of black women.
No.
It's typically just like, almost like, not even reality TV, but like
it's reality TV at this point. Yeah.
And it's just like really not supportive.
No.
So people are just like, oh, it's really interesting that yours is not basically around that. And it is interesting, as you mentioned, that like when it comes to especially like a community building aspect, like especially like black women, or I'll talk from my experience, black women are very much open to that. Even like, I was talking to my sister about it, like, people may look and be like, oh, you've had a lot of like women on your podcast, like throughout, like across everything. And I'm just like, that's not by design. That's because like, I'll reach out to whoever and like whoever gets back to me, we'll organize a call and then we'll go from there. But like some people have just been like some people have been not interested at all. Some people haven't responded. Some people, like you said, sometimes it's been an ego thing. I've had to deal with like people who I've invited to either be on a podcast or be involved in one of our events and had difficulties with them and like having conversations, and they're sort of like coming with their own expectations, which goes against literally everything I've already listed as like setting the parameters. So for me, I think the thing, all in all to say with that is that I like the freedom of like the control that I have over it. So I can decide who I interview, what we talk about, like how that conversation goes. And I think, like you said, like I like the fact that I'm not told like, oh, you can only bring on like, you know, big people in industry on it. Because I'm like we said, like there might be someone that I bring on and maybe they, I don't know, they have a small community that they host events with, and that then leads, I don't know, they come on the podcast, maybe 2 years or a year later, they're then running like their own business based off of like that small thing that they were doing. But I like the fact that I can have those conversations with whoever I want. So
yeah. No, that's so sick. I feel like, do you have plans of scaling though? Because I feel like what you have is such a unique niche.
Thank you.
Like even just me feeling so like calm and zen to speak to you as a guy like that. So I know so many like founders that would benefit of this. Like it's so inspiring, and a lot of us are tapping into the podcast space as well. So for instance, I told you like Fashion Insights, we're gonna make that into like a little show for just fashion tastemakers and stuff like that. But I feel like with what you're doing, there's a certain level of like, I feel like you can like, have you got plans of scaling it? Because you really should.
We definitely do. I think it's figuring out like capacity. I think like one is definitely like it's figuring out my team. I work with a lot of freelancers who are either like friends or people who've interned with me in the past. But the difficulty has been because, especially the interns, because they go back to university, like until they graduate, they're typically like super busy. And while we do get like paid work, they're like, unless the paid work is going to be substantial, because like a lot of them don't live in like central London. So they're like, unless the pay is going to be enough, like for the project that they're getting paid for, they would prefer to just do paid stuff within their local area instead. But yeah, no, we definitely do have plans to scale. I mean, it's funny because like, I guess I've probably been asked this question throughout all the episodes this year, and like I would probably say the answer every maybe quarter, so for example, has changed. So like literally 2 weeks ago, I had a pitch, and was it last week we did the pitch? It was last week. Oh, thank you. So last week I had a pitch, and that was for like £2,500. And even though I didn't get it, it was a really interesting opportunity to pitch, because it was something that for the longest time since starting I've wanted to do. And I was just like, this would be really cool to use this money to do it. I didn't get it, but it gave me the opportunity to think about, oh, well, now I just know like, this isn't even a lot of money. If I was to ask like someone to sponsor to cover this, it wouldn't be a hard thing to get. But it also then showed me like how, even with what we would be offering, how we could like level it up and scale it. And like what you said about like the niche, what was really interesting at that pitch was like the positive feedback I was given about it was the panel basically said, I can really see you're like about community. They were just like, you're a community person, you want to support people, you want to use the tools that you've got to support them, you want to uplift them. And I was like, that's really good for me, because not because like you said, like from an ego thing or whatever, but it's good.
No, but it is.
No, but and like honestly, like that's generally all I want to do. Because like you said, even with podcasting, so like we did an event yesterday, and there was someone, she was like, oh, you mentioned you do podcasting, I want to start a podcast, like, what should I do? And I was like, the biggest thing I would tell you, which is what I was thinking, and it was only because my family, like, kept slapping my wrist every time I suggested it, is I was like, you don't need to buy, like, an amazing microphone when you start. I said, if you can only afford to just record on like Zoom or Teams or like Google Meet or whatever, or if you can only afford to just use your like phone camera and not use a mic, just do that. And I was like, there's this big misconception that you need to have all this equipment, you need to like rent a studio. And I was like, studios are expensive, equipment isn't cheap. And I was like, even like this setup, like, yeah, I love this setup, it's great. But this setup like was only happened because we got paid work that could then cover it. But when we started, and also bearing in mind when we started, this was in COVID, I was like, oh, how are we gonna do it? You know, we need to find a online recording service that will have really good audio. But then my family were just like, no, like, just like use what you've got. Like people will understand and people appreciate it more if you grow with them. And that's why like now we do mostly video. We still have, like, obviously this is both audio and video, this podcast. But this podcast specifically, like I like it because it's a clear journey of growth. And even like one final thing with this podcast specifically is, I think it's still there. I haven't gone back to check, but I've been told, I haven't changed it, so I'm assuming it's there. The first episode of this podcast, when I was editing it, after 4 minutes, there's like a short, like maybe 2 to 4 minute gap between the first 4 minutes and the rest of the episode. And the reason why is because when I was editing it, I didn't notice that I didn't actually, like I cut a bit out, but I didn't move that gap. Yeah, so the gap is still there. But I haven't changed it. And like people have asked like, oh, why haven't you? And I've been like, oh, well, I feel like it's a perfect example of like where we are now. Because now I have tools that enable me to like do this like whole multi-camera thing. You know, I know how to make the audio better if the audio is not great. But I'm just like, that's a perfect example. So you can literally see us upgrade and like grow with like how we edit and stuff just through like essentially like this whole like eight series like journey. So for me it's really cool, and I'm just like, I don't know what the next season there might be something completely different, like maybe I don't know, we use different microphones or we use like the backdrop, like even like this backdrop stuff, like people are just like, oh, like they see the YouTube thing, they're just like, oh, did YouTube pay you to do this? Are you sponsored by YouTube? I was like, no, like YouTube, they got rid of it, which was a shame, but YouTube had this thing where if you had enough subscribers and you qualified for YouTube monetization, they had this rewards tab. So essentially they would give people stuff. So it was like you got like a free Greg's sausage roll. Yeah, they gave you free like M&Ms with the YouTube logo on it. And then they gave this, which was like a free YouTube Lite, because typically YouTube will only give stuff to people. I think you get a plaque when you've got 100,000 subscribers. You get another plaque when you get 1 million. No, so you get one with 100,000, 500,000, and then 1 million. And then after that, like, essentially, I think they might send you plaques, but they'll announce that you're like on millions of subscribers. But I was like, this was nice because it was from YouTube. I didn't like pay for it or anything. Like it was just through the channel, like getting more subscribers and like qualifying for their monetization. But literally even like this being in the back of, like I've had this for like 2 years in my room, but it was literally one of my interns were just like, oh, I feel like you need to jazz up the room. It needs to look a bit nicer. I was like, oh yeah, I've got this YouTube, like I never use it. Like, do you think it would be good? And they were just like, yeah, bring it in, try it. So yeah, so I'm like, the scaling is definitely what I want to do. I have a lot of plans of how that could look. I think...
Don't even share them here. We just want to see.
But yeah.
Can I do some PR for you?
You can do some PR.
Can I get into work mode? Okay, cool. So guys, if you are a founder, you are starting up, you have a startup, you are a community person, you're trying to build your community, and you are a visionary or a leader and you want to speak about your brand and you really want to let the world know, this is the podcast to be at. I've been blessed here and this has set me up, and I want you guys to get exactly the same feeling. So again, this is community grants. People, please pick up the mic because he's doing the Lord's work, okay?
Thank you.
So yeah, some of my friends, again, big up my friend Giovanna who told me about this, and I listened into your like you really do your research on everyone's niche, and like you're so versatile. I feel like, yeah, if you're a founder And, being a founder in 2025 and beyond is definitely not going to be easy. Have your transition, because I'm in a transition mode. So this is, have your transition conversation. You pick up the mic.
Yeah, thank you very much.
No problem.
And it's funny that you mentioned like founders, because we're actually getting to the stage where that cycle's sort of like coming back again, but we have an entrepreneur podcast specifically called The Hustle Chronicles.
Oh, fire.
And it's all about interviewing like founders and freelancers on their journey. And I haven't seen others that do it, because I've said there's a lot of business podcasts, they talk about like hustle hard, all of this, hustle culture, all of this. And the reason why it's called The Hustle Chronicles is because it's supposed to be like an honest look at entrepreneurship. So we bring people on, we interview them about their businesses, we bring them on a year later, and then it's like, okay, how has the last year been for your business? What's new? What's different? Has it been a good year? Has it been a bad year? Let's talk about it. So if the founder's open to it, we'll have an open conversation about like, how have you, like, you mentioned you wanted to get funding last year. Like, have you been able to get funding? And they might be like, yes, we secured like loads of grants, we've got investment, all of this. They might be like, actually, you know what? We've really struggled with revenue because like the market's just changed so drastically. And I've said, I like that format because one, I also open up on like honesty of like my experience with Pick Up the Mic. Two, I actually, as a part of that podcast, I like get someone to interview me as a founder of Pick Up the Mic and like talk about the last year for Pick Up the Mic. But three, I also, from the business or the big business ones that I've seen, I don't see ones where it is like, okay, let's not like, oh yeah, you're super successful. Like, let's talk about how hard it was for you to get to where you are. But like, hey, if you're a business owner, like you're gonna have times when like money's slow, or you might have times when you have to like manage a difficult team member, or you might have to like work with a difficult client. And I'm like, let's have honest conversations about entrepreneurship. So like you said, like we were talking about before, that it's not like, oh hey, like, just start a business. It's super fun. It's super easy. Like, it's great.
It's raw. Yeah. I love that. I think that's why we align, because I do that with Fashion Insights.
Oh, nice.
With the Fashion Insights conversations, because like, again, specifically within fashion, there needs to be more honesty. But I can only imagine within entrepreneurship in general, like keeping it real. And yeah, I haven't seen it as well. And there's a lot of really cool like podcasts I watch, but I feel like this also, sometimes someone like myself, I shy away from speaking because I'm like, I've not even done half the things I want to do. But I feel like coming on here, it's great to, you feel like, you know what, yeah, this is going to inspire. So I feel like, yeah, that's a niche in itself, you know, that you should proper tap into, like having conversation with like startup founders and stuff like that. Because sometimes you do need to just have these conversations to feel like, actually I'm doing something, or I can do it, you know?
100%.
So yeah, this is cool.
Any other questions?
No, I don't have any other questions.
That's all right.
I'm just so thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you. We have two more sections to go before we wrap up.
Okay.
The second to last is our MC of the month, organizational individual related to the conversation that we're talking about. And today we're talking about Black in Fashion Council. This organization supports Black talent across the fashion industry by offering mentoring, opportunities and visibility. And we feel that their mission aligns very closely with yours. And that's why they're a compelling organization to be the MC of the month. It makes, essentially, I'll very quickly touch on some information that they have mentioned. So they are founded to hold the industry accountable and empower Black professionals. The council connects designers, stylists, and creators with the resources and opportunities that they deserve. So whether this is through mentoring programs, whether it's just through visibility initiatives, they are building an infrastructure for lasting change, which isn't just about having these conversations. And like we said, in a world where essentially support that was very much existent in 2020 to 2021 for Black creatives, or even just Black people as a whole, has now basically kind of dwindled. Organizations like this are still doing incredible work to support Black creatives. So check them out if you're interested. But yeah, they are MC of the month. We're now going to go to the takeaway section, which is our message for the audience to take home. Now, we've spoken about a lot, so it's going to be very hard to do this. I don't know what you're going to pick. If I was in this situation, I don't know what I would pick as the one message that I
Stay at it and don't allow your circumstances to be your stumbling block. Just keep going.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything else. I think that's a perfect way to end the episode. So thank you very much, Nai, for coming onto the podcast. This is your opportunity to shout out any opportunities that you've got, how people can connect with you. As we are recording this is December 2025. So, and this most definitely will come out early next year.
Nice.
So if there's anything throughout the whole year people should be keeping an eye out from Alt World or either yourself, this is your opportunity to plug.
Perfect. Well, Alt World has been running residencies with Fashion Insights. Again, in the spirit of like honest conversations, we're also going to be doing more fashion-focused events for Fashion Insights and exploring that in general, speaking to more designers, stylists, PRs, and more behind-the-scenes tastemakers. So yeah, definitely lock in. We have a really cute announcement in January for our new residency. And yeah, as I lightly touched on as well, more knowledge exchange, especially within fashion, more conversation. And yeah, we're going to be teasing some new exciting bits. So just tap into Alt World. Instagram is We Are Alt World. TikTok, We Are Alt World. Don't have Twitter. Don't have time to be hearing other people's noise. But tap into Instagram, and yeah, we have some exciting stuff loading. And then in regards to some other personal projects as well, just 2026 is going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I've connected with some really incredible tastemakers who are visionaries and aligned in different areas of the fashion industry, and we're all very aligned on trying to make a change. So that's all I'll say.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And thank you to you, our wonderful audience at home. If you like this episode, like, comment, subscribe is always appreciated. If you want to make sure you don't miss any episodes of this podcast or any of the other stuff on the Pick Up the Mic YouTube channel, then please make sure you head to... it's been a long day, man. This is why I don't record after work. But if you won't want to miss anything else, hit the notification bell at the bottom of this video. If you want to receive discounts on our merch, or if you want to receive discounts at our events, you can support us in 3 ways. So you can either subscribe to our monthly subscription of our YouTube channel membership or our Patreon page, or if you want to do a one-off donation or a monthly subscription, you can go click the Buy Me a Coffee link, which is in the bio in the description below. And then last but not least, if you want to find out about other channels, then please head to the For You. Once you hit the main Pick Up the Mic YouTube page, if you scroll down past the For You section, you will see our 3 YouTube channels for Senses of Anime, our anime podcast, Pick Up the Controller, our gaming. Yeah, we've got an anime podcast. Yeah. We've got a gaming podcast as well. Pick Up the Controller, and finally the 2 Maesters for sci-fi and fantasy fans out there as well. And yes, we have already kind of announced that we will be doing at least 1 event per year, so we keep an eye out on the space. We'll be doing more events throughout this whole year if you've missed one that's just happened. But also we will be continuing to do more content for those 3 channels as well. So I know 2025 has been a bit of a slow year for some of those channels, but don't worry, we'll be hitting 2026 with the ball rolling, because there's a lot of big things happening both with us and with the community. But yeah, we're going to wrap it up. I believe, I should have checked this before the episode, but I believe this is the second to last episode of this season. So keep an eye out, because obviously the balls are not going to stop. There's no point in me pretending like we're going to end next season. But we will be continuing with the final episode next time. So keep an eye out. We hope you've enjoyed season 8, and there'll be more discussions of what season 9 and what season 10 will bring, because we are working on what our 100th episode of this podcast will look like.
Wow.
So yeah, thank you very much to all of you, and we will see you on the next episode.